following program is intended for mature audiences.
What do you say we have a rock and roll party?
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg,
Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Can we burn Penn State's football program to the ground finally?
Well, I got to tell you, I am not at all troubled that we screwed them out of a playoff spot. Not a bit.
What you're saying, Greg, is that you're not on the same side as Gus Johnson.
I was just going to bring up Gus Johnson.
Him.
Did you guys see that whole thing?
I used our F-bomb for the show, and I'm not even sad about it. Just screw that guy.
I'm going to make a special dispensation here. We're allowed to use as many F-bombs as we want when talking about Penn State. I don't know that he was as tone deaf as he came across when he said that. It sure looked like he was basically saying all that matters is Penn State's winning again. Mm-hmm. And that's not at all the case.
I understand the sentiment, for a program that's gone through some stuff, for them to finally get past the stuff and just get back to playing football. That sounds like a great thing. Except when you're dealing with what Penn State has dealt with. This isn't a team getting over sanctions because they recruited terribly. This is, real world type stuff that you don't just throw under the rug. If anything, the right thing to do is to not bring it up at all.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Winning the game and not say that it's a healing moment.
I don't know how he even figures that. I mean, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't think he's a bad guy and I don't think he's that clueless. But I'm still trying to figure out what exactly made winning a football game something that would help you on the path to overcoming the, I don't even know what a good word is, I guess atrocities that took place there.
Yeah, the atrocities that took place, and not only the atrocities that took place, but the atrocities that the university willingly turned a blind eye to, we now know going back to the 70s.
Yeah, that's where he loses me. I just don't understand how the football game had anything to do with it. I agree with Zach. You just don't bring it up. That's just something that you've just got to – you can't not acknowledge it, but you don't ever kind of do whatever he did there. You just don't do that. That's just not a smart move. I didn't hear it. I was only half watching the game. I was kind of in between that and the ACC title game, but I read about it today and I went, "Oh, you're kidding. That's not a good thing to say at all."
Yeah. I get it because eventually Penn State, despite what, I know there were plenty of people that thought maybe they just eliminate the whole thing, but eventually Penn State has to get back to playing football games regularly and just being the Penn State football team.
I would say that they should have nuked this thing and shut it down for good after what we know came out. But that's just me.
I know, and I get that. I'm not telling anyone that's wrong or right or wrong. Just that with things as they are, eventually they have to go back to playing football and just enjoying football for what it is, and not thinking about it, not being constantly reminded, I guess, that this was a thing. Because eventually, like Joe Paterno's gone, those people are gone. That is an era of Penn State football that won't be forgotten. It will continually exist, but they're going to eventually have to get some space from that and go back to just enjoying Penn State football for being Penn State football and not more.
I don't disagree, but I would say that the onus for getting to that spot doesn't fall on anyone else. It falls on them because even after, they sort of cleared house, even after all the guilty, parties either died or were imprisoned or just fired, the fact remains that there is still a dangerous cult of Paterno, for lack of a better phrase.
Right. It's still very close. Like if this was maybe 5 years in between, it is too close. Eventually they need to get over the whole thing and just start going back to the regular way of doing things.
Oh, I agree entirely.
It is close.
I would just say that the one thing that they cannot ever do, which is I think what happened here with Gus Johnson, you can't ever use the football program as a mile marker towards the recovery from what happened there, because that just makes it look like that all that matters is that, well, now the football team's back to normal, so everything's okay again. And I'm sorry, but no, it's not. And I'm going to say 20 years down the road, maybe, but not. I still think it's just way too. You just can't use the football team as a barometer of anything. And like I said, I get his sentiment. I know what he was trying to do, but it was just a really boneheaded thing to say.
Because it's different than them. It's not like the football team died in a plane crash, and this is them getting over it.
Yeah, like Marshall. That's a completely different thing.
Yeah, this isn't some tragedy that happened to the university.
Not to mention
something that happened by the university.
Not to mention the football team is why it happened in the first place.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem here, is that it implies that the football team were the victims. No, the football team perpetrated a lot of this. And I get that eventually they just have to go back to being Penn State. And I think that they would get to that point sooner rather than later if the university actively sort of purged, the cult and mystique of Paterno, but instead they seem to be doubling down on it. When the NCAA reinstated Paterno's wins, the Penn State hockey team wore a sticker commemorating that. You had Penn State at the start of the season having, a dedication ceremony to Joe Paterno. That kind of stuff is unacceptable, and I think Penn State would get to that point of just being the Penn State football team if they just sort of knocked this stuff off, but they can't seem to do that.
It's like you said.
I couldn't agree more, Mike. I could not agree more. Go ahead, Zach.
It's cult of personality, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's everything inside that Penn. And I think some of us take for granted what actually happens inside of a college football town like Happy Valley in Pennsylvania, where it's like, I went to a college town in Tempe, Arizona, sure, but it's still a suburb of Phoenix. It's still part of a larger thing. Happy Valley, Pennsylvania is Happy Valley, Pennsylvania. That is it. It is that little bubble that insulates this stuff. And so they all, they talk to each other every day. Everybody's a Penn State fan. They all went to Penn State. Everybody has some sort of connection to the university. And so this is stuff that, to them, in their looking at it, their point of view, it happened to them. This is the outside world coming onto them. And so they do want to celebrate all these things, and because this is what they have, this is what they are, this is their identity, is this university. So to them, that's why this sort of stuff happens. It'll continue to happen. It'll take a long time for this stuff to finally kind of ease over, when you get multiple generations of people that finally go through Penn State and the community itself grows up.
I think you can do what they need to do. Is it's fine to still have your football team, I guess, all of that. What they've got to do is, instead of doubling down like Mike said, they've got to step back and go, wow, we really screwed this up, and now we're going to put this thing in proper perspective. And I don't think that the majority of the people in that town want to do that. I think they're coming more from your perspective, Zach, where this is all we are.
And that's one of my biggest problems with it, Zach. You mentioned, to them, it's like, oh, this is the rest of the world coming after them. No, nobody. People aren't coming after Penn State because people like to pick on, small college towns.
Oh, no, of course not.
Like Penn State to really, cut through all the bullshit and to cut right to brass tacks, they done fucked up. And it's not. And if people and I admit, I've never been part of a community like that. I drove by Happy Valley once actually. That's the closest I've been to it. But they need some degree. I don't even want to say it's perspective, but
it's perspective.
I think it's perspective. Okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can't say like people need to stop assuming that an attack on, Joe Paterno or if someone says, basically, if someone wants to equate Penn State with all of the terrible things that happened under Joe Paterno's tenure, then the Penn State faithful need to understand that's not an attack necessarily even on the university as a broader educational institution or even on Happy Valley as a community. It's an attack on provable instances of child abuse and administration looking the other way. And I think for their own benefit, to further the healing process for themselves, it's going to be much quicker than it otherwise would be if they are able to step back and say, okay, we're not going to celebrate Joe Paterno as this saint anymore. Because I don't know about anyone else, but I only tend to see the discussion on this sort of thing flare up now. It's been a few years since the story broke, but now I really only see it flare up after the school themselves does something stupid. It's either the hockey team paying tribute to Joe Paterno or it's the football team holding a ceremony. And it's like, look, I think everyone else would be willing to meet Penn State halfway, in the middle, halfway there and say, okay, we're going to let you just be the Penn State football team again. But they keep doing stupid shit that at least gives the impression that they don't have that sense of perspective. Not only that, but when the whole thing broke a few years ago, they were hell-bent and determined. It was just a matter of I can't even describe it. It was so ridiculous the way they all just kind of lined up. And I just keep coming back to what you said, Mike. They just doubled down. You've got Jerry Sandusky pretty much dead to rights. You've got Joe Paterno dead to rights. And instead of going, okay, we're going to distance ourselves from these guys, it's like they built a big, giant wall of people around them to try to insulate them from anything that might happen to them. My favorite was one Penn State cheerleader going on about how Joe Paterno can't be held accountable for any of this because he was never tried in a court of law because he died. Well, not only that, but I smoked a lot of weed. I'm going to be blunt about it. I've done drugs over the years. I should be held accountable for that, whether or not I got arrested or not, right? I mean, it doesn't change the fact that I did it. Okay, I never got arrested for smoking pot. So I guess, not that I'm saying it's bad. I think that pot should be legal, but that's a completely different show, different discussion. But the point is, just because I didn't get caught doing something doesn't mean that makes it okay. I will say this. We're kind of beating up on Penn State for something Gus Johnson said, which may not be fair. It doesn't change the fact that all the stuff we just said is all true, but really, this is the one time I can think of where they weren't the ones behind a stupid comment like this. It was actually an announcer doing one of their games. But you can just see, though, how people still feel. Gus Johnson says this, and we're right back on top of Penn State again, which I don't have a problem with, but I'm just trying to illustrate that's just how deep this thing cut outside of that area down there. To draw a parallel to the last election that we just went through, not that we really want to relive that sort of thing, but this is all appealing to the base, right? Mm-hmm. That's all this is. If and that it may be unfortunate, but if Penn State, the actual university or the institution, didn't appeal to its alumni, to its fans of its sports in whatever way that is, those people would turn against them. And it's something they should probably do, is to separate themselves from it and say, if those people that still will fight for this are not representative of us, so we're just going to leave them behind and let a new generation fill in behind them. That's all I think anybody's asking, really. Right. Mm-hmm. But they're just not. They're appealing to their base. They're appealing to the people that want to know it, and they're telling the people what they want to hear or doing what the people want them to do. And like I said, I think it's hard for the people inside that bubble to do anything else. I've never been there myself. This is just, from all I've come to gather about this, is that it's so much more than in a lot of other places. It's a very much a conservative type bubble
around this university, around the community of Penn State.
Penn State's an industry in that town, just like in Athens, Ohio University. That's the town.
Right.
You either work at the college, work at a business that's affiliated with the college, or you go to school there. That's what the whole town's about. Now, granted, it's not near the size of Happy Valley, but that's how it works in a college town like that. So that's understandable. We get it that the Penn State thing, it's all intertwined in the community and all that. I think all anyone ever asked, and I think had they done this from the start, was when the whole thing broke, take a step back and go, wow, this is really bad. It looks like our coach was involved in it. We can't let this represent us anymore, so we are all going to condemn this, but they didn't do that. And that's why even now, what has it been, 3-4 years now since the whole thing broke? That even now, Gus Johnson brings it up, and everybody gets up in arms because they just mishandled it from the start.
To me, it's indicative. It's indicative of the whole thing. Like it's trying to paint the football team as the victims, and no, right. the victims were the children that Jerry Sandusky raped. Those are the victims, not the football team, the university, the community. They need to realize that they are not the victims in all of this.
I will say this about 49ers Bears. That was a good-looking uniform matchup, especially in the snow.
The snow, you got the Bears wearing their regular jerseys, the Niners in theirs.
Oh, yeah, sure. That was a beauty, man.
Sure.
No completed passes for a quarter.
Well, sometimes the aesthetics are the most important thing, and in this game, that was the case for certain.
You just got to take the victories where they are.
Right. It looked beautiful.
Yeah, Colin Kaepernick was benched because of the snow, supposedly.
Okay.
I don't agree.
Way to play into stereotypes there, 49ers, but okay.
No kidding.
Black guy can't play in the snow. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing's we're going to talk about that for exactly.
I think we probably just talked about it now, probably 5 times as long as it'll get on the actual show.
Yeah, you'll get 4 words out of me of this game when we go to review it. The 2 team names and the 2 scores. That's about as much about that game as I want to devote.
But it looked good. But I was thinking about this when I was putting my list together this week. Does any football game look bad in the snow? I'm wondering if even like a bad uniform game would still look good in the snow.
Honestly, I could think of. I think any of the 2000s or the 2010s eras uniforms. Like I think modern stuff in snow like really looks odd to me.
Yeah,
I kind of associate snow with like old timey football. And
the thing with too is when you think of the teams that would be playing in the snow, most of them don't have modern uniforms.
Yeah,
true.
Right? Like, and even the teams that are northernly that have some modern uniforms, like say the Vikings, playing a dome. Lions playing a dome. You're not going to get that.
Speaking of the Lions, did you guys see the Saints wore their throwbacks on Sunday?
The first thing the Saints looked really good in the throwbacks against the Lions. But the first thing that popped in my mind, I was going to suggest like Cardinals Falcons, but I'm like, oh wait, both those teams play in domes.
Yeah.
And the only place it could maybe snow is Atlanta on like a really bad winter.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's hard to explain. It just seems
Broncos have modern-ish uniforms that play in the snow. Yeah.
Even then, I don't like how it looks. And then again, I don't like the Broncos uniforms in general.
Well, because they played somebody in the snow last year, didn't they? They played. Wasn't that Patriots game that they played in the snow?
That was one of them. I remember they did play the snow game, yeah. Yesterday it was just Green Bay and Chicago had the snow. The only 2 that I saw yesterday. And the Texans, had they worn all white, that would have looked really good. But those blue pants with the blue socks, it just looks ridiculous.
The Texans themselves look ridiculous.
This is true.
They're going to let the Titans go ahead and win that division.
Which is great. My irrational confidence Titans finally coming through.
I can't wait for the Titans to host the first-round playoff game against the Chiefs. And
oh, man. Okay, that's something I wanted to talk about. I'm glad you brought up the Chiefs. How awesome is it that we've had 2 games this year end on be won by the returned extra point for the 2 points?
I love that rule.
I do too. And I got to think, is there a worse way to lose a football game? You just took the lead, except you just gave it up?
Right.
That's what the Falcons did. It was like, yeah, we got the lead. And then, oh, shit. Not only did you miss the 2-point conversion, but they took it back, and now they're ahead.
Well, I think Andy Reid has clearly made a deal with the devil, if this season is any indication.
Yeah, no, the Chiefs are really good.
They are.
Are they, though?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're legit.
Well, you know what? This was something I guess I was going to say for the football show, but since we're talking about it in terms of who's good and who's not, is there any team that you like? If you had your favorite team, let's say, and they go out there, is there any team you're legitimately afraid of right now?
Cowboys.
Patriots.
Patriots can be beat.
Of all of the teams in the NFL, the only one that I would be completely and totally afraid of would be the Patriots, just because they're the Patriots. And
even now without Gronk?
Yeah, I think so. And Brady's just... You saw it last week with the Jets. The Jets had the lead. The Jets probably outplayed them for most of that game, but you left him time on the clock, and he had the ball. That one I turned off, and I knew they were going to lose, and I was right. See you later. Sorry, that's just the way it goes.
Cowboys. I'm scared of the Cowboys. I think they're just.
I like the Cowboys too, but I still think that there's something that they could be beat. They're not an unbeatable team. They struggled with the Vikings there on that Thursday game, you know?
Yeah.
Thursdays are weird.
Yeah, but they were both fully rested. They were both coming off a Thursday game, so you can't even really throw that in there.
Yeah.
It was the only one that I would be truly legitimately worried about would be the Patriots. But you look at it, and even the Patriots are beatable this year.
Right, because you think the Raiders are the first seed in the AFC right now. They're completely beatable.
Oh, yeah.
They're fun, but they're beatable.
Yep.
Chiefs beatable, Broncos beatable.
What you've got is a lot of teams, like if you could take the Broncos defense and put it with the Raiders offense, wow, what a team that would be.
Yeah, right.
Or, there's not one team. Probably the Cowboys are the closest to being the team that's just got it going in every aspect of the game, but not to the point where you look at them and go, they're unbeatable.
Another thing the Cowboys have to keep in mind is that you never know when Jerry Jones is going to Jerry Jones.
Well, so far he hasn't, but you're right. It's always there looming on the horizon.
It could be the day before the Super Bowl, and he'd issue an executive mandate from up high that Tony Romo must play, and then it's well, there you go.
I read somewhere that he might start in the last week of the season. If they've got everything wrapped up.
That's a stupid idea.
Well, if they're going to set everybody down and rest the starters, why not, I suppose. I'm trying to look at the I want to see something here, because this is an interesting point you bring up, Zach. What would the playoff picture be today?
The playoffs right now, the first round matchups in the AFC would be Houston, Kansas City, and Baltimore, Denver.
Okay, the only one that would surprise me
with the Raiders and Patriots getting buys.
If Houston beat Kansas City, that would shock me. But anybody the other one, either team winning, it wouldn't be a surprise to me at all.
Yeah, I mean, as good as Denver's defense has been, I mean, Paxton Lynch is playing for him again at quarterback, and the Ravens. I was completely surprised that they beat the Dolphins as good as they did.
Oh, geez, they just stomped the Dolphins. Well, what about the NFC?
The NFC right now would be Falcons, Giants, and Lions, Bucks.
All right. Any one of those? I mean, say if the
Cowboys and Seahawks.
Say the Falcons beat the Giants, would that be a big shocker? I don't think so.
If the Giants beat the Falcons, would that be a shocker? No. Lions, Bucks.
Jeez. There's another one. Either one of those teams, I don't even know who you'd pick in that game. I'm not sure either one of them are good. I don't know what to make of either. I'm looking at Tampa Bay 7-5. Did anybody? Why do we always miss these things by a year?
Well, again, Tampa's in a weird spot because I think they still play New Orleans twice. They still play New Orleans twice. They play the Cowboys, play the Panthers. Their final 4 games go Saints, Cowboys, Saints, Panthers.
But I mean, looking at it, even with the whole playoff picture, I'd be a little bit worried about the Seahawks too. but not to the point where I think they're unbeatable. But I wouldn't be surprised, like, say, if I don't know about the Bucs, but like if the Lions got on some crazy roll and ended up in the NFC Championship game, I wouldn't be that shocked. Same with like the AFC. Like if the Dolphins made the playoffs and got on a roll and ended up in the AFC title game, I wouldn't be that surprised.
I would be a little surprised if the Dolphins did.
Well,
I think there's teams that are beatable, but I also think that there's a lot of bad teams this year.
Oh, yeah.
There is a lot of bad teams, and there's a lot of good teams, but I don't know if there's one great team this year. Because even the Patriots aren't what the Patriots normally are.
No, and I think if the Patriots don't get the home field advantage, they're probably in trouble.
But even then, though, the Patriots aren't what the Patriots usually are, but it's still good enough to probably be the best team in the AFC.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're the number 2 seed right now, but they're probably the favorite still to come out of the AFC.
Absolutely. I would.
Like, if you had to bet on a team from the AFC, you would put your money on the Patriots.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it is.
That's the only one I'd probably put money on. I think all the rest have serious problems. I love the Chiefs, and I just don't think they have the offense to get it done. I don't know how they score points.
Yeah.
But they do. They do.
It's just weird. But speaking of weird NFL stories, did you see this Panthers thing?
No.
With Cam Newton being benched for the first series?
No, but I heard that Ron Rivera didn't say anything about it, so now it's just all speculation.
From, let's see, somebody has a source on it. Oh, Newton said that he didn't follow the dress code, but so
they sat him for the first series?
They sat him for the first series against Seattle because he didn't, according to what Deadspin has, Deadspin says that Newton said he didn't wear a tie with his dress code.
Oh, wow.
You benched the guy because he didn't wear a tie. This is some NCAA level bullshit.
He wore, according to what Deadspin has, and I guess they're getting some of this information from Yahoo as well. He was, let's see, at the press conference, Newton said the issue was that he'd worn a turtleneck rather than a button-up shirt on the team's flight to Seattle.
Okay.
So the best, and apparently what else Newton also said was that he was offered a variety of ties to put one on, saying, I can't wear a tie with this, basically because he was wearing a turtleneck.
Look, I understand that you don't want your players showing up looking like I do right now, like in a pair of jeans and a hoodie with a hat. Like, I understand that. There's a certain image you want to stick out there.
But like you've seen Cam Newton dresses all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, does he dress a little weird sometimes? Sure, but it's not like he's dressing up like the problem why they put these dress codes in the first place.
That's what I mean. I think if a guy is dressed nice, does it matter if he wears a tie? I don't get it.
It's something we went through in the NBA when, there was always the fear of the hip hop culture in NBA. They instituted the dress code. Now you look at what some of the guys are wearing. They're not exactly up to what the dress code had them at a while ago, but they're dressed relatively nice for going to a game.
Yeah, I don't know.
The job.
And then mentioned for the first series. What does that prove?
It proves that Derek Anderson is terrible and made the Panthers really bad last night.
We didn't need Cam Newton not wearing a tie to find that out.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is some NCAA level bullcrap. Was it Johnny Football a few years back when he was still with Texas A&M and like with that whole autograph signing thing came out, they benched him for like the first quarter or something?
Yeah, and it was against
that's
a horrible team, which it didn't make a bit of difference if he played or not.
And it's like if this stuff matters, and I don't think a famous college player signing some stuff matters, and I don't think Cam Newton not wearing a tie matters. But if you as a team or a league or organization, if you're going to insist this stuff matters, then punish accordingly.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's not like
a series? Like, come on.
And it's on the team flight. You know how many of these guys, I guarantee you, as soon as they get on these planes, take off their jackets and ties?
Oh, sure. You're
walking from the bus on the tarmac up the plane,
and then deplaning back on the tarmac, back on the bus, headed to the hotel. That's what all the fuss is about. That on the off chance that somebody saw him without a tie, and I guarantee you that the outfit he wore, if he had a turtleneck with a jacket and everything, that still looked pretty good too.
Well, according to the article, I think it should be. There it goes. It's something like this. This is basically this is what Cam wore that he didn't wear a tie with. It's a blazer with a turtleneck and a stupid hat.
Hey, that's fine. It's not as good as his Joker outfit, but it's nice.
That's what I mean. What's the problem with that? He's still dressed nice. It's not like like I said, it's not like he rolled off with an Adidas hoodie and a hat and jeans and sneakers. And if he did, so what? I have a real problem with dress codes to begin with. I mean, I get it, but don't tell me how I have to dress. I think I'm smart enough and mature enough to know what the situation calls for. You don't need to tell me what I have to wear. I don't know.
Yeah.
Back in the old days, Hank Stram used to have the Chiefs had these jackets that all had Kansas City Chiefs logo on them. They looked ridiculous. It looked like a bunch of real estate salesmen getting off the plane.
I don't know.
Stupid stuff. Stupid totalitarian NFL coach stuff. You know, it's just.
And this is the kind of crap I would expect from the Panthers, who are apparently owned by a huge stick in the mud.
Oh, it's Jerry Richardson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently he won't even put the team's logo at center field because the league comes first. That's why. Yeah, that's why.
You know what, though? I mean, I don't like his reasoning for it, but I like the look. I think the NFL logo at center field looks pretty good myself, but it's a dumb reason for it. I like it. I think it looks sharp. No?
Not for a home field. For a Super Bowl, sure.
Yeah, it works for a Super Bowl, but
sure.
It looks like anytime I saw a field, okay, and some teams I think can pull it off, like the Jets and Giants, they share a stadium, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but if you're the only tenant of your stadium, put your team logo at center field. Just.
Speaking of the Jets and Giants, they light the stadium green when the Jets are home and blue. They do all these things. But you couldn't cut out a piece of the turf in the middle of the field and drop a different logo in for each team?
I think that's a safety concern. You don't want a theme on the field to.
Actually, I heard that when it opened, the original plan was they were going to have a seam where they could switch out the Giants and Jets logos, but it was exactly what Zach said. They tested it. They tested it after they put it in play, and it was unsafe. So they decided to just leave the league shield.
Well, yeah, after all the stuff that happened at Old Veterans Stadium with the seams and all that, I don't blame them for not going that route. Oh, Andrew Luck just plowed into one of his own trainer guys on the sideline there.
Just whatever.
14-0 your old team, Zach. The Colts here.
Well, what do you know?
Although I will say
Super Bowl
this.
5.
I will say this.
3.
No, it's definitely not
3.
I will say this, though, Greg. You mentioned how at MetLife they changed the lighting and the signage depending on if it's a Jets or Giants game. Well, Stan Kroenke's Los Angeles Football Palace won't have that problem when it's the Chargers and the Rams.
Nope, they can just leave the lights exactly the same.
Yeah.
So stupid.
So
stupid.
Apparently, according to reports, it's just a matter of time before the Chargers announce they're going to LA.
Oh, man.
Like I said in the post in that thread, we've already forgotten about the Chargers, and they're not even here yet.
Well, I think it summed it up best after the NFL had that owners vote that sent the Rams to LA, where the headline was in big bold letters, Rams coming home, underneath Chargers too, maybe.
Yeah, and apparently because if the Chargers were to come up here, they don't want to obviously have any lame duck years in San Diego because we know how that would look.
You'd be kind of like the last 2 seasons.
Right, exactly. And the Rose Bowl won't bring on any NFL teams, and the Coliseum can't bring on any more teams. Supposedly, the Chargers are looking to play in Carson still at the StubHub Center, home of the LA Galaxy. A 27,000 seat
the soccer. Oh wow!
Well, for 27,000 seats, they could probably do 3/4 capacity on that every game, so it wouldn't look so bad. I was going to suggest they play at the Staples Center where the LA Kiss played.
Well, they played at the Honda Center.
Oh, the Honda Center. Oh, so the LA Kiss were actually in Anaheim then.
The Chargers just play as an indoor football team for a few seasons.
I think they should rebrand as the LA Kiss. That would be cool. The uniforms and stuff are already done. You just got to put them back on, get the helmets and everything.
Yeah.
You just got to pay Gene Simmons a couple $100,000 for the uniforms.
Yeah, that's all. So is there no chance they're going to stay in San Diego at this point?
Doesn't look like it.
The ballot measure for the stadium funding failed bad.
Yeah, that's not surprising. I was just hoping that somebody would come along at the last minute and pull this thing out of the fire.
Well, what's interesting is that apparently, they're going to get a decent-ish lease with Kroenke. Like they're not going to be bent over a barrel or anything. But the big thing that's going to screw them over
is the relocation fee.
The relocation fee, which has to be paid over 10 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's $650 million paid over 10 years.
To relocate?
Yeah.
Why don't you just take that? You could build even if you couldn't build a new stadium, you could really renovate the hell out of Qualcomm with that.
Which is why this is stupid. Like, Dean Spanos is going to pay $650 million over 10 years to play in a city that he has to share, in a stadium that he won't own, and will only get some of the non-game revenue streams from.
To a fan base that has forgotten them, even though they haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, to it. Look, that's why, yeah, sure, they could play in StubHub Center. That'll fit at least all the Clipper fans in Los Angeles that want to be Charger fans. And then you have some room to give free tickets to, the homeless shelters and the Boys and Girls Club.
Or the disenfranchised LA Kiss fans could go there too.
I'm just imagining the scenario where the new Los Angeles Chargers, you've got Cleveland's got the dog pound, right? The Chargers have a section of homeless people they bribe to come in with warm food.
Hey,
you could call it the soup kitchen.
LA is always looking for places to put the homeless from Skid Row somewhere.
Right.
Chargers games. You got
the dog pound, you got the black hole, and the soup kitchen at Chargers games. It would be awesome. Come on.
There you go. You can print that on a T-shirt.
Right.
And whenever the defense makes a stand, those people can chant "No soup for you." And then it'd be great.
Oh, there we go. I'm feeling better about this already.
That's our second check we've collected here in one show. We're on a roll, man. Wow.
Yeah.
No soup for you. That is too funny. We got to make that happen somehow.
Stupid Chargers. We don't want you. You're not going to be loved. No one is going to care. No one is going to care.
I'm just thinking, if he's got to pay out $650 million, you're telling me he can't find anybody that'll swing a deal with him to pay that same amount of money over 10 years to build a new stadium and renovate the one he's in? That's insane to me.
Greg, I understand you don't understand this because you're not a Chargers fan, but as someone who has who has put up with Dean Spanos on a regular basis, this is vintage Dean Spanos here.
And the only reason that this is happening is because he lost.
Yeah.
Stan Kroenke called his bluff and said, "Fine, I'll go to LA." And it's he wants to keep that LA market as a secondary market that's his hill to die on, and it's just, he doesn't realize that we don't give a damn. The only reason we watch Chargers games is because the Rams and Raiders left.
Yeah. They were what's on.
Yeah.
That's it.
Look, when the Chargers get here, they will be the second team playing in Los Angeles, but they will be the third team in Los Angeles. Make no mistake about it. There will still be more Raiders fans here than Chargers fans ever.
Well, they're competing with the Rams.
Yep.
You've also got USC, UCLA.
Yep.
The Raiders still. I just think that if it's, I didn't realize the relocation fee was that much. I thought it was like $10 million or something, and that was it. Go ahead and move on down the road.
No.
At $650 million, only an idiot, and I guess Mike just pointed out this guy's an idiot.
Dean, never bet against Dean Spanos being an idiot.
But for $650 million, you could really do some nice things at the place they play now. I mean, my God, you could turn it into a palace.
You probably could.
Wow.
But
I would much rather be the number 1 dog in my own town than the number 5 guy. I mean, geez, it's not like he has anything other than the Rams to compete with in LA either. I mean, for Pete's sake, there's only 35 teams, not to mention all the other stuff that goes on there.
I, for one, am looking forward to a robust, friendly LA football rivalry with Zach.
You know what Zach's side of that's going to be, don't you? Oh, that's right. We're playing the Chargers this week. Okay, I forgot. That's how that's going to work out.
Pretty much. Wait, we have 2 home games this week? No, but we already had a home game on Wednesday. Oh, or on Sunday. Oh, we're playing at LA on Thursday. That's great. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's just a bad idea all around. It's just a shame. Some teams just belong in certain markets, and I don't know. Okay. Well, what about the Raiders? Oh, the Raiders are going to Vegas, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Man.
Probably, yeah.
The same article that mentioned that Spanos it's just a matter of time before he exercises his option to move to LA said that not Al Davis, Mark Davis indicated that he was going to apply for relocation to Vegas this January.
I'm going to go back to the same thing with Mark Davis as with Spanos. With Dean, I was going to call him Alex Spanos. Dean Spanos. $650 million. You can get a lot done at the whatever they're calling that place these days, the old Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. You could really put a nice facelift on that thing for $650 million and stay right where you are. What do I know?
I don't know. I'm less upset about the Raiders going to Vegas. I think that'll work out.
Probably.
And I'm sure the Chargers in LA will work out in terms of just franchise stability. I think it'll be a Clippers situation in more ways than one, because like the Clippers, everyone was saying, oh, the Clippers should move. Well, no, they're not going to, because they made a lot of money simply by existing to fill dates at the Staples Center. And I think the Chargers, that $650 million relocation fee is going to hurt, but I think the team's finances will be stable once they move to LA, so I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah.
It's just not the best place for the team, but I feel much better about the Raiders going to Vegas just because there's something about Raiders and Vegas. It all just kind of fits. It's all
works.
It's all equally scummy. And okay, they won't be the first team in Vegas, but yeah, they're probably already going to have a leg up on the Vegas blank Knights. We can't call them Golden anyway because Army might sue us.
Well, they're going to have a leg up because they're the NFL. As simple as that. But I can see the Raiders in Vegas. It's a nice fit. Yeah, they kind of the two things kind of work well together. Mm-hmm. I just would rather see them stay in Oakland. I don't like any team moving except the Rams. The only one I've never had a problem with was the Rams going back to Los Angeles because they never should have left in the first place. Anyway, are we done?
That's about it.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. You can go to the website and download episodes. Listen to all the old stuff at basicallyasportshow.com. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and YouTube, and find us on Facebook. And with that, we are done.
Adios.
See ya.